Hello viewers, well it's been ages since I last made a video on the channel. I've been just doing stuff, floating around, still been very busy in the world of racing games, but taking a bit of a time out from the action that is racing games. It's been a really interesting year, hasn't it? Lots of games that haven't necessarily lived up to expectations and a bit of a bumpy ride. It's trying to find those little gems out there at the moment in terms of what games are coming through, and I thought over the past year, let's see how some of this plays out. But I thought time for a catch up, look at some of the games, get back into moaning about them again, just like everybody else these days, and see what we can find. So kicking off last year, I sort of ducked out, didn't I? I had my break, and Forza Motorsport was released. I made a few videos before it was released, just letting you know that, quite frankly, I didn't think it was up to par. The developers, Turn 10, are, let's face it, a legendary studio in terms of their technology, what they managed to produce on the Xbox 360. When you look back at the progress made in Forza Motorsport 3 and 4, and since then the changes in the company and the approach to racing games, they had that long break built from the ground up. New Forza Motorsport, this was going to be the one, the challenge for Gran Turismo, moving the market forward, going back to its roots, but also gritty hard racing, great physics, cal span, lots of stuff. Never happened really, did it? The game never really came together, and they certainly need an investigation internally as to what happened there. How did they end up with a game with physics in the place they're in, with graphics in the place they're in, with bugs and unfinished elements, and quite frankly management issues that have led them to this point? They certainly need an investigation, because they had good people, and I'm assuming they've lost good people, and without those people the new ones just haven't worked. But also we've seen videos online of unhappiness within the development circles, and we're seeing this a lot across developers these days, the way perhaps 0 hours contracts or the way staff are treated, who knows. It's not working. It's not working in terms of game development, it's not working in terms of staff happiness, and in terms of creative output. So certainly an investigation there. Forza Motorsport, I will look in on it from time to time, but quite frankly it's an inferior game to others that are on the market, and I wouldn't waste my time any more than I had to on it, except with a muck about on the controller. Elsewhere we had the Crew Motorsport, Crew Motorfest, released last year. I did a bit of testing with it. I played the preview with the controller, which was fun enough. It's a nice game to play if you're going to play a game for 2 weeks and then bin it off. Then Crew Motorfest was really good fun, or perhaps those who just don't play much in the way of games and want that sort of quick fix, works pretty well. But there really isn't a lot of depth there in the long run. It's a fun roller coaster ride. The steering wheel is not optimized at all on the game. Frankly, it was very disappointing with the wheel. I wanted to play it with a wheel, I wanted to enjoy it, I wanted to go for long drives and explore. It just didn't have that soul to it. The characters were very superficial, didn't really do it for me. And again, the game just lacks depth. It feels like, again, it was just put together by a machine, a marketing machine that says we need to tick these boxes, just like Forza Motorsport, get it in the game. And sometimes we don't need all these extra elements. And it's a shame, because we're seeing a lot of development wasted and the creativity is just slightly lacking. And I look visually at some of these games and they lack a certain creative nuance that I want to see in new games that are available now. So Crew Motorfest is out there, obviously at a discount rate. Meanwhile, Ubisoft have drastically dropped the price of the Crew 2, which has bumped that up online. 80p, can't go wrong with that. The servers are absolutely busting on that game right now. But why? Why? It's because Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown has finally been released. Of course, last year I was involved in the reveal, the summer reveal of the game. Just came up with a character, didn't know what I was supposed to say, no script, and just made a character up on the spot and went with that. Was looking forward to covering the game at launch, had quite a lot of content planned. Of course, years ago I did a lot of content on Test Drive Unlimited 2. Enjoyed it at the time. It was a game that was rough around the edges, didn't have a great launch, it didn't have the best graphics, but it had an endearing quality to it. It had an island that felt enjoyable to explore. There was just something, a nice feeling to the game, and the characters were funny. The game was very quirky, but there was still a nice feeling of ownership to the cars and just driving, cruising and exploring. And it was a game that was different to everything else out there. I just enjoyed driving along and doing my Sunday drives and just driving off road. And of course the new game has been released recently, and the launch has been an absolute disaster. The servers haven't worked properly, lots of elements that were unfinished on the game, and it's a shame that there's so much potential there and it's worked out in this way. It reminds me very much of Drive Club. You know, I looked at Drive Club a few years ago, and it was a game that launched in a state that wasn't ideal. It was a bit of a mess. There was lots of elements that were unfinished, and over the 6 to 8 months after launch it improved with lots of packs, various updates. It became a better and better game. I used to make videos on it on a semi-regular basis. They didn't get any views. I just enjoyed playing the game. I thought it looked really cool. Put videos out there and just thought, oh, I'll just keep going with it because I'm personally enjoying it. It's funny, when the game was eventually switched off, lots of people complained, why have you switched off Drive Club? It's a great game. But unfortunately, people didn't support it that period in its life where it needed the support. And they didn't watch the videos either, so there was no real sense that Drive Club was getting anywhere. The funny thing is, the videos have had more views now than ever since the game's actually been turned off. I look at Test Drive and I think it's certainly got a bumpy road ahead of it. Unfortunately, I didn't get access to the VIP beta, and I haven't been sent retail code on the Xbox, PlayStation or PC versions, so no content from me on the game. But I do wish the developers well. I won't necessarily be covering it anymore because I don't have a copy of it. But elsewhere, we had from one broken launch to another with WRC that came out last year. Now, I played an early version of it, and I have to admit it wasn't great. EA have done this thing where they bump a code around on the screen and you can't see what you're doing. That to me is just plain unplayable from a journalist perspective. As for the final game, there were issues. I couldn't even get off the start line for the first couple of days because my handbrake locked, and I didn't know that somehow you had to reduce the effectiveness of your handbrake to actually pull off the start line. Shocking state. I also struggled with the visuals in terms of it's sort of a misty look to the game. Didn't work for me. Didn't necessarily enjoy it. Moved on. Look forward to what they do in the future. Hopefully it's better, but not quite what I was looking for. Indie games. Indie games are where all the action is now. And a game I've been playing a lot is Parking Garage Rally Circuit. That's what you're seeing on the screen now. I love this game. Gets released on the 20th of September. This game is amazing. It's my racing game of the year. There, I said it. I love it. I'm playing it all the time. It's got a Sega Saturn aesthetic to it. And I'll be going through that in some detail in the review. The way the drifting mechanic works. Love this game. Love it. If you have a PC, I'm going to put the link in the description and the link in a comment. I'd like people to check this out, because if more indie games can get a little bit more support, maybe we'll get something a bit more creative on the market. So loving that. Also, What's My Car? I haven't played it yet. I'm going to. I've had a friend of mine, Sound Shower, playing it. You'll see a clip there of Tom having a go. We'll do a podcast about this. It's a very quirky, very weird car action game. Going to come back to that. Victory Heat Rally. Bit of Victory Heat Rally soon, hopefully, as well. I played this a couple of years ago. Enjoyed it. Love the art style. Awesome music. Going to come back to that. And also Monster Truck Jam Jam Showdown. It's no, it isn't. I've got to figure out the name. Also, hang on, we'll try that again. Also, Monster Jam Showdown from Milestone. There you go. The game's so forgettable, I forgot the name of it. Monster Truck games have been a mixed bag, haven't they? I'll be taking a look at this. It's a wonderful game to look at. Very, very pretty, but there's not a lot of in the way of depth there. Not the most positive review on the way for this one, I can say. Monster Truck games, always a mixed bag. Off-road games in general are a mixed bag over the years. You need a bit of creative element to it. So many studios are lacking in unique creative elements. And when I talk to them, I say, do something crazy, do something different in the track design, in level design, in action elements. Take people out of it for a second. You've got all these wonderful tools to make creative games, and yet you're creating something that's just like everyone else is creating. Your artwork, your design, the way the textures map together, everything, it just looks like it's made by the same machine. Anyway, I'm going to moan about that on other videos. I might also take a look at the PlayStation 5 Pro. Yes, I'll probably just moan about that a bit as well. Where's the 4K Blu-ray player? Never mind. So that's a video for another day. That's been it for me. I'm going to go back, play some games, and look forward to your comments. I'll answer some of those comments, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I'll get around to it. But I'll get a few videos up. It won't be like before, but hopefully odd videos on a sort of weekly basis, just to keep the channel ticking along, and maybe the odd stream as well. But I just want to thank all of those who are watching now, those who are still around, sticking around for your support. I've had some nice messages while I've been away, and also I've been playing a bit of Gran Turismo recently. Gran Turismo's had a number of updates since I was last on. They've updated the physics. They've updated, which is kind of off throttle, the way the car rolls through the corner now has been improved. It feels quite nice. I like the physics. I like where it is. It's miles beyond anything else on console. Gran Turismo are miles beyond anyone on console in technology, physics and approach to their game design. I just wish they had a bit more of a classic Gran Turismo feel to it. You know, it's still a very serious game. And I feel it just would be nice to have those other elements progressing through the game in the old classic Gran Turismo style. Maybe we'll see that again in Gran Turismo 8. I'm going to look a bit more at Gran Turismo in a future video. But to finish, a look at Daytona USA. I've been on recently and getting, blowing the dust off the wheel. I mentioned on Twitter. And Daytona USA, one of the greatest racing games ever made. It's a game that 3 tracks, single car, endless fun, endlessly improving your times, driving those circuits. It's got a wonderful vibe, a happy vibe. Love the vibe on Daytona USA, and it's a game everybody should play and love. And it's a game I come back to reset when I see all of these boring corporate products that are being produced these days. And I look at them and think, right, okay, you can see where the marketing department are aiming for this market and that market. And you know what you need? Good intuitive gameplay. Just make a game with intuitive gameplay with your core audience in mind, and let the rest take care of itself. And we look forward to that, and more stability in games, more polish and finish in games, because it really is getting to a point of this update culture sort of taking over these days. And I think we need to sort of pull back a bit from that and get a more complete product in terms of release. Games perhaps have got too big, or perhaps studios are aiming bigger than they can manage in all these games. Perhaps we need to just pare it back to a more simple experience. I will just say, actually, I saw somebody moaning about the length of Astrobot the other day being, whatever it was, 20 hours. And they're like, only 20 hours. Do you know, some of my best games, like Streets of Rage 2, can be completed in 45 minutes. But they're some of the finest curated games ever made. I would rather spend £60 on a game I can complete in 3 or 4 hours and go back and enjoy endlessly to the end of time than something that's generic, that just has a grind in it, just so we can say 300 hours tick box. Because if you're moaning about that, you're part of the problem, and that's the problem with the games industry these days. We need great curated gameplay adventures. Forget about the playtime. Make it detailed, make it work. That's something I look forward to on a future video. I've got lots to moan about, viewers. That's it from me for now. More soon.
Flag is out. This is the final lap.